My name is Megan Brock, and I am the mother of 2 elementary-age children, a small business owner, and a lifelong resident of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I am sitting beside my good friend Jamie Walker, a mother of 3 children who has spent almost 2 decades working in education. It is an honor to be here speaking before you, representing the voices of thousands of parents across Pennsylvania on the topic of parental rights. I want to start with a quote from Nelson Mandela. There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. As we look at the many challenges we are currently facing as a state, such as inflation and increased crime, these issues pale in comparison to today's topic of parental rights. Why? Because protecting parental rights is about protecting the well-being of children. Children thrive when they have safe and secure relationships with their parents. Any attack on the parent-child relationship is an attack on their safety and well-being. For almost 2 years, Jamie and I watched schools and our local government deny children an in-person education, leverage youth sports to coerce vaccination, and force kids to wear an untested medical device, a mask, for 8 hours a day. Jamie and I are 2 moms with no previous political involvement, and we have become well-known advocates for the children and parents in our community. In 2020, after Governor Wolf's blanket school closure was extended from 2 weeks to the end of the academic year, I felt powerless as I watched my elementary-age children struggle through the prolonged social isolation and negative effects of virtual learning. I knew they needed to return to in-person school, and I was ecstatic when on June 15th, 2020, our local health director, Dr. David Damsker, issued school health and safety guidance that created a clear pathway for a return to school. In his guidance, Dr. Damsker wrote, "While health and safety considerations are paramount, guidance is also rooted in our understanding and belief that social interaction and in-person instruction is essential to our children's well-being, as well as their educational growth and advancement." There was a public health official in Pennsylvania saying that in 2020. Probably a lot of people don't know that. In July of 2020, the Central Bucks School District, where Jamie's children attend, sent out a district-wide survey of parents showing that 81% of parents wanted children to return to in-person learning that fall. Central Bucks planned on following Dr. Damsker's guidance and providing students with an in-person education. However, on August 10, 2020, the then Superintendent John Kopicki abruptly announced the Central Bucks School District would be starting the year fully virtual. This decision disregarded the input of parents and the advice of our health director, Dr. David Damsker. My friend Jamie here understood the importance of getting kids back into school. What she didn't understand was why Dr. Kopicki chose to ignore the advice of Dr. Damsker during a pandemic. She submitted a public records request to learn how this decision was made. Instead of fulfilling her request, the district sued Jamie, forcing her to hire a lawyer and defend herself against her own school district. She ultimately won the requested records in court, and Superintendent John Kopicki resigned days before the district produced the emails. Parents shouldn't be sued for asking questions or using legal means to access public information. In August 2021, when Dr. Damsker issued school guidance that made masks optional and eliminated extended quarantines, parents were elated that their children would finally have the normal school year they needed. However, days before the start of school, the Wolf administration sent our Bucks County commissioners a forceful letter demanding they align with state and CDC guidance. Per Pennsylvania law, the Wolf administration did not have the legal authority to supervise our health director. Our Bucks County commissioners complied with Wolf's demands, abruptly changing the health and safety guidance that impacted 80,000 students. This was 7 days before school started. 7 days. Evidence suggests this guidance was not written by Dr. Damsker, but by a former Democrat campaign manager who has no training or experience in public health. Around this time, Dr. Damsker was publicly silenced and his medical license was put under investigation. Parents were given no explanation for the last-minute change, even when they showed up in droves at school board meetings demanding answers. For more than a year, Jamie and I have been asking our Bucks County commissioners for those answers. We want there to be truth, transparency, and accountability so we can make sure this never happens again. Parents need to be able to make decisions that are in the best interest of their children. But instead of receiving answers to our questions, our Bucks County commissioners have used their elected positions to call us liars, conspiracy theorists, and accuse us of playing politics. If that wasn't bad enough, after us both winning public records through the appeals process in Harrisburg, our Bucks County commissioners refused to comply and have instead filed a total of 5 lawsuits, against Jamie and myself. They are using our taxpayer dollars to sue us so they can publicly withhold records which they have been ordered to provide. We are being abused and sued by our government for simply being concerned parents who ask questions. I want to mention another lawsuit Jamie was involved in. On August 31st, 2021, Governor Wolf attacked students and parental rights when he issued an illegal statewide school mask mandate. Jamie sued the Wolf administration to have that mandate thrown out, and her case won on its merits. Then Josh Shapiro, as Attorney General, appealed the decision to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, where he argued that every student in Pennsylvania should be forced to wear a mask. Josh Shapiro lost at the Supreme Court, which is a win for students and parents across this Commonwealth. Pennsylvania's Supreme Court recently recognized that parental rights are a fundamental right, saying, a parent's right to make decisions concerning the care, custody, and control of his or her children is among the oldest of fundamental rights. Shouldn't have to be even said. Jamie and I have spent hundreds of hours advocating for the rights of children and parents. We've been involved in more than 10 lawsuits and spent thousands of our personal dollars in legal fees. We've been labeled domestic terrorists for speaking at school board meetings. We've had defamatory statements printed about us in the newspaper. We've been ridiculed and called countless names. We have been through a lot. It should not be this hard. It should not take this much effort for parents to exercise the fundamental rights of being their child's advocate, protector, counselor, and provider. SB 996 is so important because it recognizes and understands the critical, long-established importance of the parental right to, quote, make decisions concerning the care, custody, and control of one's children. And while the battle over in-person education and masks may be over, for now, let's hope it's over, but we don't really know, do we? Parental rights are still under attack in Pennsylvania. 2 weeks ago, the ACLU filed a federal complaint against Central Bucks School District, alleging discrimination against LGBTQ students and asking for the Federal Department of Justice to investigate the actions of the school board and administration. Central Bucks has recently instructed teachers that they must obtain parental consent before using a student's preferred pronouns. In their complaint, the ACLU alleges that this policy of gaining parental consent is part of a pattern of bullying and harassment. Several Central Bucks teachers have stated they will not comply and will continue hiding student information from parents. As a mother, I've always taught my children to never keep secrets from me. And if an adult ever asks them to keep a secret, they need to tell me, because it's a well-established fact that safe adults don't keep secrets with children. Under a webpage titled Grooming, Know the Warning Signs, RAIN, the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization, lists the following as a grooming warning sign. Abusers attempt to gain trust of a potential victim through gifts, attention, sharing secrets, and other means to make them feel that they have a caring relationship and to train them to keep the relationship secret. Withholding information from a parent is a long-established pattern of predatory grooming, and yet the ACLU is arguing that teachers have a right to keep secrets with students from their parents. This is dangerous to students and parents, and it needs to be stopped. Furthermore, they are asking the school to allow teachers to initiate alternative pronoun use, a form of social gender-affirming care, without knowing if the child has a diagnosis or is already receiving treatment. Gender-affirming care is a highly invasive treatment pathway for children diagnosed with gender dysphoria. This model of care ranges from socially affirming care to surgical interventions, like performing double mastectomies on girls as young as 14. Minors can be given hormone therapy with irreversible effects, such as permanent loss of fertility. And that one personally really gets me, because I can't imagine telling a 14-year-old girl does not have the ability to consent to forever losing her ability to be a mother. However, gender-affirming care is not the only way to treat gender dysphoria. On March 12, 2020, Dr. Stephan Levin, a clinical professor of psychiatry, testified at a House Health Committee public hearing that there are two other models of care for gender dysphoria, which includes a watchful waiting approach and standard psychotherapeutic approaches to distressed children. He also testified that studies show the large majority of children resolve their gender dysphoria by the end of adolescence. As a mother, I find it extremely alarming that our Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, wants to ban children struggling with gender dysphoria from receiving any alternative treatments other than gender-affirming care. How can anyone force parents into a care model that gives children highly invasive and irreversible fertility-ending treatments when there are less invasive options with proven positive results? It is truly the ultimate attack on parental rights. I have lived in Pennsylvania my entire life, and I've always intended to raise my children here. However, over the past 2 years, as I've watched the attack on the fundamental right and sacred responsibility to protect, provide, and make decisions for my 2 children, I've wondered if I will have to leave the state that I love and have always called home. This bill is the first step in assuring all Pennsylvania parents will always have the right to do what's best for their children. I know I speak for thousands of parents across the Commonwealth when I say thank you, Senator Mastriano, for recognizing the critical role parents play in their children's lives and sponsoring this bill. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak. I really do appreciate it.